I live on an iceberg. And it's cold and lonely, of course, and the mail delivery is spotty at best. But I don't think I'd want it any warmer for fear I might drown in the cold water. In the cold, cold water. My iceberg has only a little bit poking above the water. Most is underneath. And most people can't get close because of the hidden ice. But I don't think I want any less. It's even colder water that saves me from the cold. From the cold, cold water. When I was a kid, I read about a plan to tow a giant iceberg down south to the Persian Gulf so oil billionaires could cool their scotch with Arctic ice. But no lawyer attached to an e-mirror has ever knocked on my door across the cold, cold water. Hermits block. You cannot avoid the fact that hermits block. Everything is connected and rerouted and stitched back into everyone else. And no wonder why it gets so lonely. And no wonder why icebergs get dead as things. I want to eat alligators whole. I want to find the Holy Grail. I want a giant motor and propeller, and I want to sail the equator until the water swallows me up. But I'm quiet. When I should speak up. And I talk too much all the rest of the time. And I want to get away. But instead, I drift with the currents at the rim of a world that's warming. So that someday, Santa Barbara will be relocated to the north coast of Canada. And polar bears will be something quaint that someone used to remember. And if I have to live forever, I'll need to grow gills. But the sea has many fish in it. And unfortunately, many of them are much bigger than me. I dreamt last night of a log cabin on a mountain where I could slowly starve, praying all day as an ascetic, until the heavens reached down to pluck me up, and the mountain sighed, happy to be rid of me. And it stood up on its hind legs and launched itself into space. Tired of this world, it decided to be its own asteroid. And the sky burned itself like some Buddhist monk that didn't agree with something. And the sea sees the space vacated by the mountain and floods the new plains and inundates the lowlands as God plays Scrabble on his phone. And he would be paying attention, but he's trying for a triple word school. And none of these things are real. They're just a trip around a head with a mind that floats around on a giant ice cube. And someday the sun comes up out of the fog, and I can see it from a bench that I've cut out of the ice outside of my door. And the clouds float by slowly, without any discernible wind. And I think I'm floating south which I think is a bad thing. And I'm not sure if the water is cold because it just is, or if the water is cold because I'm on an iceberg and I make the water cold around me. If my iceberg were made of rocks, they'd call it an island. And more rocks yet, it'd be a continent. And I might be the iceberg because I'm not made of rocks. Not entirely. And no man is the man. And there's been no continent that I've stood upon that I haven't felt out of place. And I've been on 3 of 7, and that's a pretty representative sample. And as I say, I'm one of those continents. Name Kitipa. Or maybe that's just a song. So Neme Kitipa. Although, I might just keep on my own damn self. But if I do, you can read about it on my blog. Somewhere out on the water, on the cold, damn water, on a block of ice, somewhere.